If your local watering hole tosses a few ice cubes into every drink, you may want to find a new favorite spot. The uninitiated might think that all ice is the same, but when it comes to cooling drinks for the best taste, temperature, and longevity, there's no one-size-fits-all formula. It's true that literally any ice shape will get your drink cold. But while some will bring out the best in what you're drinking, others can water it down too fast or diminish how enjoyable it is. Think about cooling your cocktails the way you do about cooking your food, Sarkis explains. Many drinks served in a Collins or highball-style glass, that is, long drinks, which are usually a bit bigger and made with more mixer, work best with ice shaped into a long sphere that spans the length of the glass. Bigger pieces of ice give you more control over the temperature and flavor, Sarkis explains. With one long large piece of ice, there's less overall surface area. Less surface area on the ice in your cocktail means it will dilute less, which means you have more control over the temperature as well as the flavor profile. That's especially important for these types of cocktails, which have more mixer per volume. The alcohol is already diluted by juice or soda. You don't want to dilute it too much with water. While that's all well and good for going to a nice bar, there's also a way to make drinks this way at home. In your kitchen, Sarkis says you can either carve a sphere from a big block of ice, which can be bought or made in a tray, then chopped up with anything in the kitchen that works, or you can simply buy a sphere-shaped ice mold. Because the glass itself is shorter and wider, a sphere won't work here, but a sphere will fit just fine and has minimal surface area. Again, this means you have more control over the temperature, and water won't dilute your drink quite as quickly as cubes would. If you're making a drink with an ice sphere at home, use an ice mold to get that perfect shape. Then let the sphere sit out at room temperature for a bit to temper it, so it won't crack when you stick it in liquid. At the end of the day, though, Sarkis says using the wrong ice isn't a disaster. If you don't have an ice sphere, your drink isn't ruined. A good mint julep or swizzle is always made with crushed ice, which keeps it extra cold when it's hot outside. Crushing the ice maximizes the surface area, which chills the liquid up fast, so fast, in fact, that the drink becomes cold enough to slow down the melting of the ice. Once the initial dilution is finished, this cocktail gets so cold that it frosts on the outside of the glass, Sarkis says. And you don't need a special machine to make crushed ice at home, either. Simply put cubes in an absorbent bag or inside a folded towel and smash them. You'll never see a drink served in a martini glass with ice cubes, since that would be a recipe for sloshes and spills. A martini is an exercise in temperature. While you want to serve it as cold as possible, and when it hits the table, after a couple sips, it'll warm up and become more aromatic, says Sarkis. But you don't want to warm it too fast, which is why you hold it by the stem. So your body heat doesn't warm it, he adds. Same thing with wine. We serve wine at a specific temperature, and we don't want body heat to affect it. If you're shaking your own cocktail at home, it's best to use bigger cubes in your shaker, which won't dilute as fast. If you only have smaller ones, shake the drink less. Whiskey stones are always a bad idea if you're a whiskey drinker. Think twice before buying into the whiskey stone trend. A majority of the temperature change comes from dilution, he explains. If you put room temperature water in a freezer, it'll take 15 to 20 minutes to be cool. But if you take a glass of water that's room temperature and pour it over ice, it's instantly cold enough to drink because it's diluting the ice. It's melting the ice and releasing 32-degree water, and that 32-degree water is then chilling the total temperature of your drink. People have this idea that they don't want their booze watered down, he adds, but the water is actually part of the taste. If you look closely at ice and whiskey, you can see tendrils coming off it. That's called releasing the serpent. It's the water bonding with the oils in whiskey, and it changes the flavor. Finally, if you're hosting a get-together, he recommends always making a fresh batch of ice beforehand. Ice that's been sitting in the freezer can pick up some of the tastes and smells of the food kept in there, which can spoil a drink.